You are about to listen to a Jason Burgos exclusive interview. How did it all come about? How did you get involved with Wimp to Warrior? How did they contact you guys about, okay, we want to work with Law MMA? I mean, because I see they have relationships with other gyms like SBG Ireland, Syndicate, Team Oyama. So how did it all come about? They came to you. Yeah. How did that go?
I tell you, I got a call from a girl that used to work for Fox that was covering the UFC, and she changed jobs. And I don't know if I called her just to say, you know, good luck with everything or whatever, but she said, do you mind if I have a buddy of mine call? He wanted to talk to you about something. And the guy called, and he told me about the Wimp to Warriors thing, and we got on a conference call with the guy from Australia who's responsible for, I think, maybe Rich Cranny. And that was it. And I said, look, let's pass it by Chris because he's going to make the decision on it. And that was it. They pitched us on the idea, and they said, you know, told us everybody else was, you know, a couple of gyms were doing it. Seemed like a good, you know, another avenue to advertise the gym, make some money, and here we are today with how many people in there?
We had 16, and we started with 16, and before we even took a step onto the mat, we had somebody run out the door. And we have had only one person throw up thus far, but we're at 15 right now, and I believe our second tryouts next week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
right, cool.
so
Is there at all a disappointment only one person has thrown up?
It isn't an objective for sure, but hey, look, I mean, we don't want warriors and have to turn them into wimps.
Yeah.
Right? This is Wimp to Warrior.
We're gonna try to get that Navy SEAL belt, so when they quit, they got a ring the belt in front of them. Just to put
that's a great idea.
Just to put a lot of pressure on them.
I mean, what wouldn't when they sold it to you? What made you say, okay, I want to do this compared to some? I'm sure you get sold on stuff all the time, you know. So what made this more interesting?
Well, I think obviously because it culminates with a fight. You know what I mean? So you get and what I liked about it wasn't like they trained for 6 weeks. They trained for like 22 weeks. So you could make a dent, I think, in 22 weeks. Like when I did the Ultimate Fighters show with Matt, you basically got 5 weeks. Granted, they already know what they're doing, but how much can you really add to somebody in a couple of weeks? And you got to remember, those guys are fighting within 2 weeks. So, you know, what do you really have besides motivation? So 22 weeks is a different thing. And all the training is done at 6 in the morning. So it doesn't affect anybody's work schedule. It doesn't affect, you know, any times at the gym where we have to give up a couple of classes to do it. So it seemed like a good fit, and it's, you know, it's what we do. So, you know, we have the people like Tony with the strength and conditioning, and some of the other people that are coaching with the stand-up and the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling. So, you know, they can make money a little bit, and it's good for everybody.
I mean, I do think, I'm sorry, just that they do it right to Ray's point. Like, they have 8 weeks of just conditioning. To get in shape.
So even that's
smart,
worth it.
right?
That's even exactly.
So that's how it's going to start. They're going to just get in shape first, then start learning the technique.
Yes, definitely. We got to get them you know, if you're going to show them some skill, and Ray wants to show them some skill, and a minute 30 seconds into it, they're completely tired and suck and win, and you know, there's no nothing's going to work. So we get them in shape a little bit, and I would imagine too the intent there is to see, you know, who really wants to push forward, and then they get the opportunity to really skill train. They'll be doing some skill work, of course, in that first 8-week duration, but you know, prep them physically, and then you got them with like Ray for 16, 17 weeks. I wish every fighter had that long.
That's right. So that's the first thing I liked about it. It wasn't like you're gonna train it for 3 weeks and we just throw them in there. I said that you could if you're really training, you got to train 5 days a week. That's a lot, man. I think it's good. So that part of it seemed like it was really good. So it just made sense.
Now, I mean, I already see they're doing tryouts now. I mean, how does the entire process work? Does the Wimp to Warrior, or you know, the folks there, do they select the candidates? Is it just an application thing? I mean, do they, you know, send them to you for tryouts first, or can anybody apply for it and be a part of it? Is it as simple as that? Is there a website they go to, or are they, you know, kind of looking for people and finding people?
No, I think Wimps to Warrior themselves, they're responsible for all the marketing and to get out, like you say, for the people. You know, they fill out the applications. That's all through them. We'll make the final decision on who we're going to accept in that thing. But no, that's kind of turnkey. They do everything, I'm going to say, but the training, they do all the advertising and all the other, administrative work, and we do the training, and then we find a local promoter at the end, and we promote a show.
So because in the end, it's a TV show, and they want to have an interesting story. How much say do they have in final choices? I mean, are you guys going to be fully 100% autonomy with making the choice of who you select from the applicants, or will they have a little say? Because let's say, like we were just talking about, there's some guys that have jiu-jitsu or wrestling already. Maybe they're not as interested because they might win easy. Maybe have a mom.
We're making the final say in that. Was there anybody from Wimps or Warriors in there today?
Not for today.
So
they give us a general template on. Hey, here's day one. And we did a little screening.
And they've
test,
done it before a lot.
Right.
And it was, it's successful in Australia. So we're making the decisions on that.
How much is the decision making in just changing somebody's life? Because you can, if these people come in jiu-jitsu and wrestling, they can come here anytime and do that. But is there a desire to bring in somebody who truly is a wimp, and you guys have an influence on their life and changing their life and making things better?
Only time will tell, but hopefully that happens. That would be a great thing, right?
Absolutely.
If you get a guy and you can have a life-changing experience with somebody, I think that's the other attraction to it, is that even if you could change, and I don't want to sound cliche, but if you could just change one life, which I think I've done a couple of times. I mean, that's a really good fit. That's my comfort zone. You know what I mean? I like doing that. So I think that's another great benefit of everything.
Is there anything specifically then both of you are looking for? Like Tony, are you looking for someone that's in decent shape, or are you fine with someone that just has enough of an interest and a passion to do it that you can build them up to where they want to be?
I would prefer that, the latter, which you mentioned, that they're not in great condition. So, and here's how it works. It's like we have a couple of kids who have a little bit of a training background, and we did a general screening. We saw the mobility was pretty good, and they're quite athletic. Well, we can match them up against each other. So we're not going to put them against the guy that that works for Goldman Sachs on the weekend here, during the week and just popped out. But we have a couple of kids, you can tell that they're not very athletic, and they literally took, I don't want to, just a wimp in the context of not having any experience. It doesn't mean they're a wimp. If they're here, they're not a wimp. So what's nice is we have a starting point of people with multiple backgrounds, and so we're looking forward to taking the guy who hasn't really thrown a punch, never mind, thrown anything in his life, and come in here, he's a little bit overweight, and he's going to push through it. I think that's really exciting,
and if
right?
he has the heart and the desire and the determination, he's going to, even if he's horrible, and he gets he doesn't win, it's still a huge thing.
It's tremendous.
Like again, it's not 4 weeks, man. It's 20 weeks. If you, they say it takes 3 weeks to break a habit. You know what I mean? People have turned their lives around in 3 weeks. 20 weeks.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's
awesome.
awesome.
I mean, yeah.
Do you both? Do you have to? Are you both expected to be like on TV for interviews? Are they going to come here interview you? Kind of like what they do at Ultimate Fighter, where the coach is here talking about what they saw and like all those kind of things.
Yes, I believe the 22nd of this month, and they're here full time with us.
Really?
Yes, of October, and they'll be here, and there certainly will be, I think, discussions with Ray. And maybe right now you have Pete Drago out there. I think he's third degree under Matt, correct? And
ex-UFC fighter.
Yeah, ex-UFC. And Dave Patton's one of a Matt Serb black belt. And then they get some striking with Ray. And I'm sure as that process goes, they'll be asking Ray, how is Joe coming along? Yeah. How's Jane doing? Yeah. She's showing promise. Does she have a chance? Stuff like that,
he's already a movie star. What do you feel about being on TV?
I don't particularly like TV or an attention. I do this for you because you're a good dude. Yeah. I've been under the radar my whole life, and I'm like a stealth, and I like it. But I'll stay off the camera.
He needs a couple more years.
Yeah.
He'll be on
Still working on it?
Because I started off like him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, how about this? After Matt won that title, I didn't do one interview.
Yeah?
Is that right? Yeah.
And now you're in movies. Now you're in movies. I
don't know when that shifted. I'm going to say within the last 10 years. But I'm embracing it for sure. But I got to tell you, you go back and try to find, I'm going to say maybe one. I wasn't really doing much.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, maybe at different times, but...
Well, that's true, too. I think the mediums have increased so much, right, Jason? That
they can track me down easier now.
Right. You have a lot, like here you are with us now, whereas Matt won that title, you wouldn't probably have the portability that you do now to do all this.
Can I talk to him? You have his number. Yeah.
And maybe it was doing the show with Matt, too. after he won the title was, maybe 2 years after that.
Oh yeah, it was him and Hughes, right?
Yeah. So so maybe that was my first taste of being followed around with a camera. So who knows? I think I was forced into it, but like again, I've become pretty comfortable with it, which is weird.
Is Weidman supposed to be involved with it at all? I mean, his name is on the building.
He'll be as much involved as I am.
Yeah.
You can figure out whatever that means to you, Jason.
Vague, very vague. All right. How much is it going to affect prioritizing your work with for both of you, with other fighters? Weidman's got a fight coming up,
right?
And I'm sure Iaquinta's going to get back into action soon. I mean, how much is it going to affect you prioritizing what you get paid money to do in your main job?
It's not going to affect me at all, and that's why we have other coaches doing stuff. And I think it's early in the morning. Like you're a morning person, so we don't do anything at that point anyway. So I don't think I'm going to say it's going to have zero effect on that. And I wouldn't let it have an effect on that. I know where my priorities are, and like again, we have great people that teach for us in here that are going to take the brunt of that. That's why I'm saying me and Chris that will be involved the same. That was kind of like saying that it'll be very much on the outskirts.
Yeah.
If we can come in here every so often and motivate somebody or tighten something up, that's good. But we do have people in place, and like again, I think Tony's used to operating in the morning. So
so I'll be here early, and then we'll probably, they'll be in on a weekend day too, where Ray could check in and oversee everything. Hey, this guy's coming along good. So I think that's where you'll see, Ray pop in a little bit, because then he still gets the sparring in when working with the guys, and it doesn't interfere.
Are all the fees and everything picked up by Wimp to Warrior? They pay for. I mean, are they paying for their work to be trained by high level trainers in MMA?
No, it's all by the application fees.
Yeah. Really?
Oh yeah.
So the person pays for it.
Oh, the person's paying. Yeah.
Really?
Right.
Interesting.
I'm not wrong on that.
No, they are.
No, they're getting.
Really?
They're paid. They're 5 days a week, man. That's why I say the average person really can't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because that's a lot.
Is there any kind of, so I mean, since they are paying for that, and you're getting some people coming in here that have some background training, is there kind of like a possibility that they do this and maybe continue on with it?
I would think that's a big possibility.
Yeah. All right. Does the deal require a lot of? I mean, I already asked you that. Let's see. I mean, for both of you, I mean, what is it about coaching that you love? I mean, I've seen both of you work with non-athletes, like regular people that are coming here, which is fascinating to me because you got this major gym. You see regular people come up. Sure, you see all these other gyms that it's elitist in a way that's just the fighters, just the athletes. Like here, you have regular folks come in. What is it about coaching that you love that? It's not just
Jason,
about working with
if
pros.
it wasn't for the regular people, we'd have that coffee shop. The regular people, they're the ones postponing the coffee shop. Are you kidding?
The other insanity of the fight.
Right. If you think it was just about the fighters, I'd be on top of the roof doing a fucking belly flop onto the concrete. Are you kidding? We need that. You need a balance in life, and that's the balance. Definitely.
Is it easier? Is it just easier to deal with?
Again, my comfort zone is coaching. If it wasn't, I'd be fighting. Right? Suck as a fighter, so I'll take the coaching aspect. You know what I mean? And I don't know what it is, but I enjoy doing it. I like watching. I like helping other people accomplish, their goals, and in doing so, I'm accomplishing my goals. So it's like that's the way I look at it anyway.
A point I want to make is it's hard to marry what you said. World champions, top 10 guys in a gym, and the general population coming in and feeling comfortable. And that's an environment that Ray created. And it's great. Because my girlfriend comes here. Her sister comes here. Women who've not worked out before come. And while, you
and
got
we love that they come here.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
It's wonderful.
It
But our
gives it a
acquaintance
family kind of
is
atmosphere.
sparring in there, right? He'll be doing sparring in a cage, and you have somebody who's never worked out, extensively, in the weight training area doing a workout, and it marries well. It's really neat because that's not easy to do. You said it, like you go into hardcore fight gyms, there's no room for that. But
you feel comfortable, like either you're not welcome.
He sets up a coaching environment where everybody feels welcome. That's tough to do. It's great.
Now that's pretty much most of Wimp to Warrior. I want to talk about other MMA related stuff now. Ray, have you ever encountered anything as crazy as what happened at UFC 223 and all the shenanigans? Were you there? Were you in the building for the Connor and the Dolly and the bus?
You know what?
and all
I
that
was actually
insanity?
supposed to be there. Iaquinta was on the bus with
Khabib?
Khabib.
He was on the bus.
He was on the bus.
Yeah.
So no, I'm going to say the both of them wanted to get off
What
the
would
bus.
you have done if you were on the bus?
I probably would have been hiding under a seat somewhere. Maybe holding on to Al. Maybe hiding behind Iaquinta, I guess. Maybe hugging him. I don't know. Something like that. But no, there was somebody, I think it was Latifi. He blocked the door. He knew that somebody stopped those guys from getting off the bus. I forget, but it was which was a smart move. Else it would have been total chaos. Yeah. But you know, as far as what Al told me, they thought it was a terrorist attack at first. They had no idea. Just look, I
was
should
terror.
Look, not 9 out of 10 times I'm on that bus at that point. But because it was Brooklyn, you know, we were right there, so you know everything was good, and we were going back and forth. But you know, Al said it was chaos, and he said as soon as he saw Conor, he just felt better. He knew that it was the guy.
That's funny. That
you know what I'm saying?
But
him, I think what I love about the story is he was sitting next to Khabib, so him and Khabib at the time don't know they're fighting each other, and they kind of bonded with each other because I think they had the same intensity to get off the bus and kill the guy. You know what I mean? So, and then a day or two later they're fighting each other, and I think there's a real mutual respect that came of everything that transpired in that UFC that will probably bond those guys for like life. I mean, you know what I mean? I like Khabib a lot. Man.
Yeah.
And I think his respect for Al was awesome, and it was just a good thing.
And along with what happened with the chaos, what was it like to have to all of a sudden, like 2 days, prepare Al from going from one fight to fighting in the main event, Madison Garden against Khabib? You know,
well, look, there's not a lot of preparation you could do, obviously, but you know, you talk about it, and you watch some tapes, and you try to make adjustments on the fly, and that's it. You know, look, Al's got a lot of fights. He's really good in every area the fight could go, so it's not like you had a guy that could just do one thing. That would have been a disaster. But Al could do it all. Now, will we train him for that? No. But it's hardwired into who he is. You know what I mean? And let me just get something else on the bus too. People did panic on that bus, so it was chaos. You know, Rose was very upset. They said it was horrible to even. I mean, the girl it's really not right what happened. There were a couple of other guys in the UFC that were literally out told me fucking panicking, almost like the plane was going down. I mean, I can only assume I would have been one of those guys. I don't really know if it would have happened, but
you can't have cookies in front of me.
I think I would have tried to just get order, because that situations like that, as you get older, they can escalate out of control. You know what I mean? So.
And it's so much on the line for these fights, so they can't go off on the bus and go start getting into a fight.
Right. I mean, there's
a few days away from.
Al gets off that bus and does something, he's out.
Yeah.
He's out a lot of money for that weekend. You know what I mean? So, I think I'm almost sure that's where it would have went.
What are both your thoughts on Weidman Rockhold coming up? It's a big fight for Chris. He hasn't fought almost 2 years now because of the hand injury, the hand surgery.
A year and a half, yeah.
So I mean, this is a big rematch. I mean, when you first started working with Chris, it was for this fight, wasn't it? The first Rockhold fight.
Yeah, we had collaborated, lightly on things prior to that. Like even, Chris would send me messages, we'd chat a little bit, but largely for that. I definitely feel good. I think to keep it simple, I think he's putting in some good work, and I think it's okay. I don't know. I think sometimes being away from the cage is overemphasized or overstated. As long as the fighter is doing things and they're in the game and their head's in it, I think it's great. And so it's also a good time for, when people get away for a little bit, to let the body heal up and feel good. But Ray can comment on.
I think. Look, I always say this: as long as Chris is healthy, he's going to be fine,
right.
And he's looking good now. Look, even in the first fight, I've looked at that fight up until the point where it went south.
Yeah, with the kick.
I think he was winning the fight.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So
that's nice to know, and I know he was banged up going into the fight. And Tony knows that he's the weight cut, the rehydration.
Yeah, that's what it seemed
so
like.
There's a lot of things that we know that even under those circumstances, I do believe he was winning the fight. So I feel really, really confident about this fight.
Because he's
I
going
really
into
do.
a much more healthier.
Exactly.
Because he's had the
And he
layoff.
knows, and you know, yeah, he knows what the deal was. So I think he's going to have a really good fight.
Now, what about? I mean, I talked to Aljamain before the before the Stamen fight. I mean, fantastic. The groundwork he did, some of his defenses. I mean, what were both of your thoughts on that fight? How he performed? I mean, is he deserving of finally getting some of these bigger fights that he's won? You know, overall, that's
One unequivocally deserves to get a bigger fight. You know, he's probably ranked number 7 or 8 anyway.
you gotta be now, yeah.
No, I think he was, and he probably stayed the same. But he's definitely, you know, a ranked guy who deserves a shot up. I'm glad he had the opportunity to fight Brett Johns and Cody Stamen. I think they were 2 really good growing fights for him coming off the loss. And, you know, I think, like, the submission when he had over Stamen, nobody's ever did that. Kid was undefeated.
Until later in the night.
Oh, yeah, right. You know, but Aljo, that's why I think his nickname, the Funk Master, is really appropriate, because that was a Funk Master submission, man. That was crazy.
So hard to apply.
Yeah,
And
so.
some of the defenses he did from, like, Stamen trying to get him off his back and, like, grabbing the leg and some of this stuff, I mean, it's fantastic. I'd never seen it before, not that I've seen everything, but this ground game showed a lot.
If you watch Aljo enough, you'll see a lot of shit, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what he's really got, a great blend of wrestling and jiu-jitsu that nobody has. He's really, I don't think I don't want to use the word underestimated, but he's really good. He's got super fucking strong squeeze strength.
Yeah.
That guy gets on your fucking neck, it's going to probably be over.
Yeah.
Way stronger than he looks, right? I mean, you can
Without
attest to that,
question,
yeah.
yes.
Is he one of the
Without
best
question.
athletes you've worked with? Because he seems like a phenomenal athlete.
I'm going to say he's one of the best athletes I work with.
He's one of the, and I've seen athletes since I'm
Yeah.
19 years of age. He hangs with any athlete,
Yeah.
athletic ability I've ever seen. He is really amazing.
No, he's really, yeah.
Any idea when Aikens is going to fight again?
We're looking at December for him.
Any ideas? Any possible opponents? Any idea?
I
of
think
that?
we're running a couple of guys around, but
Does he do like Aljamain gives matchmakers a few names and then they decide?
with Al, I think he's a little more specific.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I think they pitch him on a lot of stuff also. So yeah, but it's all kind of the same.
Would you
But
like
look,
to see him?
It's all the same. It really, like, even with Aljo, like, even with getting a bigger fight, it really depends on who's open at what time too. A lot of guys are just, you know, you only have 4 or 5 guys, and if they're booked up, you could be out, you know, 6 months, 5
Yeah.
months. You know what I mean? So that goes into it too. It's really who's open and who they think can make a good fight. You know, so.
All right. I mean, and the last question. Appreciate the time. This will probably go up next week. Conor Khabib is going to be next week, next Saturday. Thoughts? Who's going to win that fight?
Man,
Opinions?
I just think.
I want to hear your opinions. Too.
Oh yeah, no, man. I think Khabib's going to, you know, impose his physicality and his wrestling, and I think that's going to drain Conor, and even if it gets back up, it's going to take enough steam off those punches that he probably won't be as effective as he will be if he didn't hit the floor. So point being, I think if Conor could catch him within the first minute or two, that's probably his best shot. But the longer that thing becomes a grind, I don't think he's shown me anything in his past fights that leads me to believe that he could sustain that. And he's been off for a while, so that's another thing
Great
that,
point
you
on
know,
that.
you're tired, you know, other things might not mean nothing, ring rust, but can you build a gas tank? You know, I don't know. I mean,
Is that different between every person? Some people are affected by ring rust, some people are not.
I would think that's a personal thing.
Yeah,
You know,
probably.
it probably all comes down to mental also.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you believe that that's a factor, it'll become a fact. I think Dominic Cruz has been very adamant that it doesn't affect anything. So for Dominic Cruz, it probably doesn't affect anything. But I say that's a good point. I think it's individual, and you know, it depends on what you're doing in the off time too. If you're training all the time, I don't think it's going to make
Right.
a difference.
GSP,
Like, yeah,
perfect
right.
example,
Exactly.
right?
If you're doing
Always
nothing,
training,
then it's going to make a big difference because you're doing nothing. But
Yeah, the best time to learn how to fight is when you're not fighting.
yeah.
Right,
Sometimes
GSP.
those are some of the biggest growth. But you're not
Exactly.
worried if I've seen that even with guys, they look great because they have nothing to worry about. There's no
Exactly.
pressure on them, and Yeah, he can make some big strides in that too, so it could be a good thing.
Conor Khabib could pick.
I'm going Khabib. He's very tough on the takedown. He's not that American 45-degree takedown, where we start high, shoot low.
Yeah.
This kid falls off the planet. I mean, he's eye to eye with you, and vertical descent, and he immediately is on your ankles.
Yeah.
He did that to Al, because Al is really good on the ground. And Al is a solid wrestler, can thwart a takedown, but this kid goes eye to eye with you, vertically, just drops off the face of the earth, and before you know it, he's on your ankles. It's tough to stop that if he's quick and effective. So I agree with Ray. If Conor has a shot, it better get done right away.
What are your thoughts on because I'm of the opinion, I'm leaning a little bit toward Conor just because Khabib's style is such a pressure style and Conor's such a fantastic counter puncher with power. Is there any concern about that style?
You're saying the key word is a counter puncher.
Yeah.
Khabib probably isn't going to even throw any punches.
But he does get hit on the way. Like Michael Johnson, he got hit. Al hit him.
Johnson's, yeah. Al can wrestle too. He can wrestle better than McGregor.
Yeah.
That's
Totally.
the difference in the thing. So it's not like
that's my point.
like what's McGregor gonna do when he gets into a thing where it's just wrestling 90% of the times.
Yeah.
He gassed out with Nate Diaz doing what he does best, boxing.
Yeah.
He didn't. Mayweather didn't even hit him. He started getting tired. You know what I'm saying? So I think the gas tank is the biggest issue in this thing. And once that goes, and I think at 55 too, I don't think he has the steam on his punches that he had at 45 either. I mean, he was hitting Chad Mendes a lot.
Yeah.
Mendes didn't even blink half the times, and he didn't train for the fight. So
Mendes wins that fight if he has more than 2.5 weeks.
yeah, right.
I think.
He got him down, and the other guy's not letting him off. He's gonna push him to the cage. He's gonna get him down, and I think McGregor's definitely tough, but I think that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's a boxing match where like Eddie Alvarez, where he could sit back and counter. He's great at that.
Fair point.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna try to box him and you're not a boxer, you're gonna get lit up. There's no question about it. But I think Khabib's, Khabib knows that, and I think he's just gonna walk him down, and he'll be punching, but he won't be counter punching. And that's the difference. You know what I mean? Like his counter punching is great, but if he has no punches coming at him and he has to defend that takedown, he wasn't worried about getting taken down by Nate Diaz. He wasn't worried about getting taken down with Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, Aldo.
I mean, Chad Mendes got him down a bunch of times pretty easy. Just they dragged the guy off a fishing boat. You know what I mean? He was in Mexico fishing, I think. You know what I mean? So, Nate Diaz didn't train for the fight, and he beat him. Mendes didn't train for the fight, and he did pretty damn good until, like that knockout was more from exhaustion, not from, where he's doing the funky chicken out there. You know what I'm saying?
And Conor generally had the reach on most of his opponents and the length. Like on Eddie as an example, even Aldo to a little extent. Khabib's a big 55. He's not a little 55. He's a big kid.
That's the fight. Look, whoever controls the range of this fight wins. It's not. I don't think it's rocket science. I think it's I think I have a tendency to oversimplify some shit, but that's the way I'm looking at it. You know what I mean? Like, if McGregor keeps that in the center, nobody's punch proof. So he could definitely. Look, he could definitely win the fight. I just think if it becomes the type of fight I think it's going to become, I don't think he's ready for it.
How much do you guys put into, because I was at the presser, Conor was doing his usual antics, the mental side of it, and him trying to get into Khabib's head and making Khabib make stupid decisions. Can that what's the effect of that kind of trash talk on a person?
I think Khabib's more squared away. I think he's got a great camp. I think Javier Mendez, I think, they're going to address all of that shit. And I don't see that being an issue.
Yeah, Khabib didn't grow up in, what is that, 90102?
The
TV show or French.
Old school.
I don't think it's easy to throw that kid around mentally. It wasn't exactly.
And I got to tell you, he'll at least wait till he gets the guy on the floor before he goes off the rails. I think. But I think if he gets him in a spot where he feels really dominant, I think he goes absolutely apeshit on the guy. Yeah, he'll let the I think he'll let the emotion out at the right time.